This controller might change your freaking life. Handheld gaming is all the buzz these days, but not everyone wants to spend that much money on getting a Steam Deck or an anti-consumer piece of shit like the Nintendo Switch 2. But since everyone already has a smartphone, this serves as a much cheaper alternative that turns your phone into a quote-unquote handheld console. This video is not just about this particular controller, but all controllers of this specific type. Upon opening the box, you get a quick start guide that explains the different modes of the controller, another quick start guide, and an ad with a QR code for the Evofox app for mobile, which we'll check out later. Damn dude, the last time I saw this much paperwork was when my wife divorced me and took the kids.
Anyways, life isn't perfect, but your advertisement can be.
Next up is the controller itself, and upon finally flipping over this tab, you get a USB Type-C to Type-A cable and a nice carrying pouch for the controller. That's all for the contents of the box, so let's put it aside. The in-hand feel of the controller is nice. It feels sturdy and is comfortable to hold because of the design and textured grip patterns. This controller follows the Xbox layout, but if you look closely, you do have the PlayStation icons between the buttons as well. The face buttons themselves feel very good to use. Joysticks here use Hall effect technology, which basically means that they use magnets instead of physical contact points to register inputs. This means that there will be less wear and tear and exponentially less chances of your controller developing stick drift. In short, it is something that these greedy bastards won't give you, that's for sure. The joysticks are fairly accurate and feel good to use, but I personally feel like they could have had a wider surface area, though I can understand why smaller joysticks might have been used for a design like this. There's two extra buttons on the bottom here which are used for the controller's own functionalities. The dojo button is used to turn the controller on and off, and also for switching between the various connectivity modes. The key map button has other different uses, like you can cycle between and turn off RGB around the joysticks by pressing key map plus X. To turn on and off the face button lights, you gotta press key map plus B, and to check the battery status, you gotta press key map and A together. It sounds kinda complicated, but believe me, it really isn't, especially because you have various icons under the face buttons as reminders. The D-pad is where I have my first big gripe with this controller. This D-pad feels more like normal buttons than an actual D-pad. It has that clickiness to it which might seem satisfying at first. But the problem is that the D-pad doesn't have enough room or depth to tilt or travel like D-pads on other full-size controllers. This means that your left thumb will start to hurt sooner if you play games that heavily depend on the D-pad like side-scrollers or fighting games. On the back of the controller, you get a reset switch, the Evofox branding, and a QR code to the website which has the complete guide for the controller. On the bottom, you just have a USB Type-C port for charging, and on the top, you have 4 shoulder buttons, which brings me to my second big problem with this controller. The actual feel of the bumpers and triggers is super satisfying, but the problem is, these triggers aren't actually triggers.
Oh shit! These holes ain't holes!
These triggers are also just mouse click type buttons like the bumpers, which are called tap triggers. This is a bit of an advantage in shooting games since there's basically no travel time involved, but if you play a racing game or any other game in which you can drive, these triggers make it so that you either have full acceleration or none. They work as either 0 or 1, which is a huge contrast to pressure sensitive triggers on other controllers where your acceleration varies depending on how much you press in the triggers. Finally, we come to the main selling point of this type of controller, and it is the sliding mechanism where you can put your phone in. And I gotta tell you, in this particular controller,
it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
the slide out mechanism doesn't feel wobbly, and the rubber texture makes sure that it doesn't damage your phone at all. It also grips the phone really well, like look at this. I'm shaking the controller harder than my dad shakes his head thinking about the prospects of my future, and the phone's still not falling out. There's also this groove type design at the edges that makes sure that your phone's speakers aren't completely blocked. It's a sturdy and seamless design which I really like. Now in terms of connectivity, you can connect the Evofox Deck wired using a USB-C cable or wirelessly using Bluetooth 5.0. For mobile devices, you gotta hold the dojo button until you see the first light flashing, then go to your Bluetooth settings and select wireless controller. The box also mentions that you can connect this to a PS4 using the Bluetooth accessories option, but it works for like 1 minute and then just stops responding.
What the hell?
For connecting this to PC, Turn the controller on by pressing and holding the Dojo and X buttons until you see the third light flashing. Then select the Xbox wireless controller option in your PC's Bluetooth settings. Keep in mind that you can connect the controller to your phone as well in this X input mode, which is what I do a lot of the times. In every case, the controller will vibrate and the lights will turn solid when connected. The connection is practically flawless across both PC and mobile with zero noticeable lag. Battery life is also really good. The controller takes around 2 hours to charge and can go up to 8 hours depending on your usage. Vibration, however, is my third big beef with this controller. The vibration on Evofox Deck feels like it's coming from a mid-range phone from 5 years ago rather than an actual controller. But hey, most controllers of this kind don't even have a vibration option, so what the do I know? Now I'm gonna be honest here, on the PC side of things, I keep this as a spare controller for when I have a lot of friends around or if I don't have access to my other controllers, so I mostly only use this with my phone. There are plenty of great games on Android and iOS that can benefit from a controller, and the Evofox app is a nice place to get recommendations for these. Dead Cells is a perfect example since this game was originally a console and PC title, so playing it with a controller like this is an awesome experience. Some games like PUBG Mobile, which don't natively support a controller, can also be played with Evofox Deck by using the Shooting Plus app to map controls. This controller is also a pretty solid choice if you stream games from any platform. Like here, I'm using PlayStation Remote Play and it is a much better experience than using those pain in the ass on-screen controls. But what I use this controller for the most is emulation. Emulation on mobile has come a long way. And so have I. Now I have a Galaxy S24 Plus, but you don't really need a high-end device like this for emulation anymore. Most emulators work fine even on mid-range devices nowadays. This controller is basically perfect for emulation because, like, take PS2 emulation for example. The original PS2 controller also has buttons instead of pressure-sensitive triggers, so in this case the lack of pressure-sensitive triggers on this controller doesn't even matter anymore. Also, unlike most native mobile games, many mobile emulators also support vibration with external controllers, which even with the weak ass vibration present on this controller is still better than nothing. Whether it be a revolutionary title like Spider-Man 2 or a hood classic like God Hand, it's been so much fun to revisit these gems from the best era in gaming, and this device just gave me the perfect excuse to do it. And I wasn't kidding when I said it has been kinda life-changing, a little hyperbolic maybe, but not lying. Of course, you can carry this while traveling, making those long rides much more comfortable like I do for your mother, but it is also useful when you're just at home because sometimes after a long day, you just want to lay down in your bed and chill the hell out, man. Don't know why I did that. I mean, if we really think about it, gaming is a much better and quote-unquote healthier alternative compared to just mindlessly doom scrolling on your phone. It takes like 5 seconds to get this whole thing running after the first time you've set it up, because after that, every time you turn on the controller, it will boot up and connect to the last connected device automatically, so you're pretty much ready to go instantly. This thing has basically forced me to branch out my interest and try out different classics that I might have missed during the golden age of gaming. And it has also shown me that you don't need to spend a lot of money to get into handheld gaming and actually have a lot of fun with it. Huge thanks to everyone who watched this video till the end. Here's another video that YouTube thinks you'll love, so be sure to check it out as well. As always, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.